हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे
हरे कृष्ण दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु।
कृष्णा। तो in the entire gamut of what is called the Vedas. So Vedas means all knowledge comes together as the term Vedas. Hmm. Yes, so all knowledge can be combined together to call the Vedas. Now in the Vedas, there are two sections. What are the two sections?
श्रुति एंड स्मृति। श्रुति एंड स्मृति प्रभु।
Okay, good. So yes, so online ने एक सही आंसर दिया है, ऑफलाइन ने एक सही आंसर दिया। So all the Vedas, they can be divided into Shrutis and Smritis. That is one classification. Another classification is Paravidya and Aparavidya. Transcendental knowledge and transactional knowledge of this world. Right? Okay. So as we talk of the first classification of say Shruti or Smriti, so Shruti and Smriti, Shruti means that which is a direct word of God, and Smriti that which the sages have propagated, have digested, understood, assimilated, and then explained. Smriti, as they remember, as they have shared, as they have elaborated upon the Shrutis. So the Vedas have these two divisions, Shrutis and Smritis. Within the Shrutis, we saw there are the four Vedas. Hmm? Rig, Sam, Yajur, Atharva Veda. Hmm? And within each of these Vedas, you have four sections: Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Samhitas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. Just a recap. So these four sections are there in each of the Vedas. Brahmanas are for the Samhitas are for the brahmacharis, Brahmanas are for the grahasthas, Aranyakas are for the Vanaprasthis, and Upanishads are for the sannyasis. So there are sections of the Vedas, thematic compilation, which are relevant and applicable to certain sections of the social order. Now, with the Shrutis, these four Vedas are accompanied by the six Vedangas. Hmm? Remember, we spoke of Vedangas. So, Vedangas are basically nothing but preparation to study the Vedas. What is the preparation? What preparation you need to do? Will help me to recollect because I am also recollecting. As the name suggests, Shruti, जो सुन के याद रह जाए वो श्रुति. So the six Vedangas, they are comprised of first is Shiksha. Shiksha means Ucharan, as you teach the child A, A, E, E, the ability to speak alphabets. So alphabet जो सिखाते हैं शिक्षा. Then there is Vyakaran. So Vyakaran is grammar. How do you understand? How do you make sentences, logical sentences using words? That is Vyakaran. Then there is something called Chanda. Before Vyakaran comes Chanda. श्रुति में सबसे पहले आता है ये क्या इन द Vedangas, the first is Shiksha. After the Shiksha comes Chandas. Chandas means recitation. Now, what children can readily learn is by memorizing and reciting things. Hmm? So if they are given some musical pattern to repeat, they can memorize things easily. They have not yet developed the skill of analyzing. Grammar means analysis. But before analysis comes memory. The memory of children is very sharp. Hmm? But they are not yet equipped to analyze. So therefore पहले छंदा उनको मीटर सिखाते हैं. Anushtupa Chanda, there are Jagati Chanda. There are different types of meters like 6 syllables, 8 syllables, 12 syllables. इस टाइप के छंदास रहते हैं. पीछे एक चूहा है. एसी यहाँ से स्विच है. Oh, no problem. No problem. So we are just setting the scene to understand कि हम कहाँ पे हैं, where our coordinates. So then you learn the chandas. Then you learn the vyakaran. How do you make sentences? How do you make sense of sentences? How do you understand? And then there is nyaya, logic. So the study of logic, how to uh, you know set up an argument. Because once you have learned a language, you also need to have logical arguments, logical conclusions. So what are the laws of न्याय? जैसे आपने सुना होगा कि शाखा चंद्र न्याय. शाखा चंद्र न्याय मतलब बच्चे को चांद दिखाना है तो क्या दिखाते हैं? एक, बिकॉज ही कांट सी डायरेक्टली अप देयर इन द स्काई. क्या है? तो शो अ ब्रांच. ओ लुक एट दिस ब्रांच. हाँ यू कैन सी. हाँ ब्रांच. और ब्रांच से थोड़ा सा ऊपर. हाँ व्हाट इज द राउंड ऑब्जेक्ट? देन कृष्णा से मैया चांद खिलो ना दई दो. When Krishna sees the moon, he says, I want this toy. So basically, logic mein there are different types of nyaya. Ardha what is that? Half and logic. Ardha kukuta nyaya, like that. So the logic is taught. And then after that, there is Jyotish. Hmm? And then the final thing is, so Jyotish means, so all of these four things, they set you up for um, language and understanding and expressing your viewpoints. But then ultimately, it is all meant to gear towards practicing the religious activities, the dharmic activities. So those dharmic activities, the anushtan, there has to be a time, muhurat. And for that, Jyotish is understood. What time is suitable for which type of activity? So Jyotish is meant for that. And the final, the sixth portion of the chanda of the this Vedangas is about kalpa. Yeah. Kalpa describes what is the method of performing those dharmic anushtans. ज्योतिषोम यज्ञ, अग्निष्टोम यज्ञ, वो सब कैसे करना है तो कल्प में है. So these six, along with the four Vedas, and then there are the Upavedas, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, all like these Upavedas are there. So this is the Shruti, and then there is the Smriti section of the Vedas, which is basically Itihasas, Puranas, the 18 Puranas, the Itihasas, then the six systems of philosophy. But all of these Shrutis, of course, you know that the 18 Puranas are further divided into six in the mode of goodness, six in the mode of passion, six in the mode of ignorance, Sattva, Rajatama. And the conclusion of all the Puranas is expressed in the Srimad Bhagavad Purana, right? And then you have the Itihasas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, right? And what else comes in the Smritis? Six systems of philosophies come. So this is the whole classification. And then you have, other than that, the Paravidya and Aparavidya. The goal of all knowledge is not just to know about the body and its functioning in this world. The goal of knowledge is to transcend this material world, right? So that is the Paravidya. So the Paravidya is contained in the Shrutis in the form of the Upanishads. The Upanishads, they especially speak about the Paravidya, about the Atman, Brahman, and also about Paramatma and the Bhagavan feature of the Lord. There are references, but they are very cryptic. So, out of all of these Upanishads, one of those Upanishads which is less cryptic and which is more direct is Ishopanishad. Otherwise, there are other Upanishads like Yena Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, very, very cryptic, very difficult to understand, and which are uh, not so directly speaking about the absolute truth. But then you have the Ishopanishad here. And then apart from that, from the Smritis section, you have the Smriti section of the Vedas. It has the Paravidya in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the six systems of philosophy, they also come in the Paravidya. And one of the six systems of philosophy is Vedanta. So the Vedanta Sutra is based on the Vedanta wing of the six systems of philosophy. What are the six systems of philosophy? Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Karma Mimamsa, Yoga, and Vedanta. Right? These are six systems of philosophy, and each of these systems of philosophy have a uh, founder or basically a prominent disciple of Vyasadeva who propagated it. Jaimini, Paila, Kannad, um, Vyasadeva, etc. Kapil Muni, etc. So all of these six philosophers, they propagated these six systems of philosophy. And out of these six systems of philosophy, the most refined is basically the Vedanta Sutra. And the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam. So, as devotees, we have been given access to the conclusion of the Vedas in the form of the Paravidya. So, we have got access to the Paravidya. And within the Paravidya also, there are gradations. Within the Paravidya also, as we said, that the Upanishads, they are cryptic, they are indirect, they focus on the Brahman aspect of the absolute truth. But then Srila Prabhupada has given us the Ishopanishad, which gives us the understanding of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan, the entire features of the absolute truth. So, so basically, this is where we are, what we have discussed, and we started off with Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, the first verse of the Ishopanishad, that the three foundational principles for us to understand the absolute truth, that it must be perfect and complete. Whatever comes out of it should be perfect and complete. Otherwise, if the manufactured is defective, the manufacturer might also be defective. And number three is that although he produces all of this, he doesn't become incomplete or affected or entangled by his own creation, right? So that we discussed, and then the application of this, it was in the form of um, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, knowing that everything is emanating from the Lord and everything is basically he's the proprietor of everything. So everything uh, God has provided for everyone's need, but not for even single man's greed. So Ishavasyam principle says that you take your quota and not encroach on someone else's quota. And if you live like this, then you can live for thousands of years. No problem. Hmm? If you want to live forever, then that also is not a problem. एरो किधर दिख रहा है? Okay. Hmm. Yeah, so you can continue living like this if you live based on this principle, but if you defy this principle on the Ishavasya principle, then the darkest regions of hell uh, is basically what is awaiting the jiva. So this is in all what we discussed from the first section. The second section we had just begun, where we spoke about that, well, we have to live in synergy, in sync with this absolute truth. Can you tell something more about that absolute truth? You have said that it is Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, that is perfect and complete. But what is the nature of that perfection and completeness? Hmm? So, can you give some more details? Make sense that जिनके लिए आपको ये सब नियम फॉलो करने हैं उनके बारे में आप और कुछ जानना चाहोगे, राइट? सो द फर्स्ट थिंग विच इज सेड इज तद तद एजति तद नेजति तद दूरे तत्वंतर. All of these contradictory statements are given, and can someone tell why, what is the reason for those seemingly contradictory statements?
So that Prabhuji, we understand that it's not easy to understand
एक सेकंड
God.
माता जी, मैं एक बार ऑफलाइन पूछ लेता हूँ. यस. हम्म. Good, interesting, new analogy. Nice. So, yes, Mataji, can you also share?
Yes, Prabhuji. So it ऐसी language use करते हैं so that we understand that God, we cannot approach God, and God is inconceivable. हमारे speculation से परे हैं वो. तो इसलिए ऐसे मतलब ऐसा रियलाइज हमको रियलाइज कराने के लिए ऐसा लैंग्वेज यूज किया जाता
Yes. So, to put things together, uh, we have been conditioned by our current mind and senses. Hmm. So, we, with our limited mind and senses, as हमने जो डिस्कस किया था इंट्रोडक्शन में कि we have these four limitations. So we just have access to a limited scope and purview of reality. So now God, who is perfect and complete, we can't fit in an incomplete and imperfect vision. Hmm? So if based on our preconceived notions, if based on our previously conditioned experiences, even if we try to understand God, hmm, we will then जैसे डॉक्टर फ्रॉग का फिलॉसफी बताया कि because he wants to understand the measurement of the Atlantic Ocean based on his own well, because that's his reference point, so which is impossible. So because we have these defective conditioned mind, senses and experiences, it is just not possible to contain the understanding of God in that. So therefore the Upanishads, they give this kind of a contradictory but at the same time uh, holistic picture of God, so that we just don't get biased towards our own preconceived notions. जैसे हमने बोला, some people, they think that God has to be transcendent. Some people think that God has to be immanent. मतलब इस जगत में जो कुछ दिख रहा है, जो शक्ति है, यही भगवान है, ये प्रकृति ही भगवान है. कुछ बोलते हैं कि God is there, he has nothing to do with this world. So therefore these kind of seemingly contradictory but can be harmonized in the absolute truth. So this is the first discussion. Now let us zoom into the so the I just summarized the offline and the online answers. So just let me open the PowerPoint. So we'll recite this verse. Yah tu sarvani bhutani atmanyeva anupashyati sarvabhuteshu च atmanam ततः न विजुगुप्सते यह तु सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मन्येवनुपश्यति सर्वभूतेषु च आत्मानं ततः न विजुगुप्सते. So the understanding, the meaning is, now that uh, that a paradoxical understanding of that absolute truth has been given. Now, based on that, how do we look back and see this world? क्योंकि हमेशा पहला है ओम पूर्ण मदम पूर्ण मिदम. सो एक आपको थ्योरी दिया, थ्योरी के बाद एप्लीकेशन देते हैं. So that's how the scriptures are. So the first application is that you know that when you know that everything belongs to God, so then you have been just given a portion for your subsistence, so don't encroach upon others. Now, having been given a paradoxical, this philosophical understanding of the absolute truth, that he is the controller of all controllers, staying at one place, he controls all the devatas, the Matrishwa, and which is Indra and Vayu, all of them are controlled by him. So, how do we act and apply based on this? So here, yaha, which means a person who sees anupashyati. Pashyati, anupashyati means systematically sees, properly sees. What? Sarvani bhutani. Sarvani bhutani means everyone, everything, everyone. In the relationship to the Supreme Lord, Atmani, in the relation to the Lord who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and he sees the Supreme Lord Atmanam within everything, Sarva Bhuteshu, never hates Vijugupsate, anything or any being. तो यदि आप जगत को, ब्रह्मांड को, जगत में व्याप्त हर जीव जंतु को उनके दृष्टिकोण से देखेंगे या उनके उनको आधार में रखते हुए देखेंगे, then you will not develop hatred towards anyone. That's the meaning of this verse. So to summarize, he who sees systematically everything in relationship to the Supreme Lord, the first and second line of the shloka, यह तो सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मनि एव अनुपश्यति. He sees everything and everyone. Bhutani means those who are made up of the Pancha Mahabhut. And everyone, all of us are made up of, in the form of our material body, is made up of Pancha Mahabhut. Right? So, such a person, one who sees like this, who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, the third line of the shloka, Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam, सब लोगों में वह भगवान के प्रेजेंस को देखते हैं, तो क्या होता है? ततः न विजुगुप्सते, नेवर हेट्स एनीथिंग और एनी बीइंग. दैट्स द आउटकम of understanding the Lord and his connection with everyone. है ना? Now, any question or doubt which arises here?
Prabhuji, Hare
हाँ
Krishna.
हाँ, yes.
Prabhuji, we see in households there are many insects and cockroaches. They create havoc and dirt in the house. So, and we tend to kill them. We buy pest control or we even kill them. So, how to relate to that means this, yeah.
Yes, Mataji. So, she has asked a very pertinent question that, well, we can see everything in relationship to the Lord, but there are pests in the house. Right now, by the way, there's a pest inside there's this rat which is in the room. No problem. We are safe. So, so how do we deal with that? We sometimes use pest control, and because otherwise they may, even in the altar, sometimes the rat enters, so we have to use. So otherwise the bhoga will be spoiled. So what to be done? So now, as I always say, prevention is better than cure. So if we create an environment which is lucrative, which is very favorable for these kind of entities, which are primarily in the mode of ignorance, then we can't blame them because their population, their production is dependent on such a suitable environment. So as far as possible, if we have the mode of goodness environment, then you would see that such kind of pests would not arise so much. But we are living in a city which is by default predominantly in mode of passion and ignorance. So then what to do? Then do whatever best you can to minimize, if not completely avoid harming other living entities. Minimize them. We उसमें भी like this is a detailed subject matter. Like Srila Prabhupada's father Gaur Mohan De would keep a bowl of rice in his shop so that the rats would not eat on the cloth, so that they eat the rice and then they are happy with that. But अभी ये मुंबई के चूहे हैं, ये कोलकाता के 1890s के चूहे नहीं है. So what to do? We all have to figure out. Okay, let's see. Let's understand this verse more. So the sixth verse and the seventh verse, they are connected. Just as the fourth and fifth verse express the similar idea about the paradoxical nature of the Lord, that He is far yet He is near. He is situated in one place yet He is all pervading. He uh, he's faster than the fastest, yet he's situated in one place. Um, he's far yet he's near. Hmm, Which one else? He's inside and he's outside. So those two verses give highlight that understanding. These two verses, 6 and 7, they talk about that when you see everything and everyone in connection with that Lord, then three negative emotions would not arise in you. This verse speaks about one of them. What is that? Huh?
Hatred.
Hatred, jugupsutam. You will not have animosity or hatred towards other living entities. The next two emotions, which are spoken of in the seventh verse, are basically moha and shoka, lamentation and illusion. So we'll discuss these verses together. So first, let me just highlight the purport summary of this verse. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about Uttam Adhikari's vision. So paragraph 1 of the purport is about the vision of the Kanishta Adhikari. That the Kanishta Adhikari sees, basically he only, for him sanctity, the sacredness exists only in the altar. It's called a Prakrita Bhakta. What is a Prakrita Bhakta? He needs a proper construct, he needs a proper environment and a setup to see divinity. He can't see divinity everywhere, right? So he needs to be brought to a grand uh, pandal or a festival or a temple to be able to experience divinity, right? So, for example, now this is not about Kanishta Adhikari, because even a Kanishta Adhikari is a uh, you know devotee, but say not a demigod worshipper. But then, if you even speak about Ganesh Visarjan or the Ganpati Utsav, you see thousands and thousands of people. They suddenly become spiritual, religious. They, their religious sentiments awaken. Is it not? Hmm? That those sleeping religious sentiments of their culture, of their, Indianness, all their spirituality, they awaken. Why? Because they needed a certain environment, a certain construct, a certain setup to be able to fan that small spark. So that's a Prakrita Bhakta who needs a certain environment, ambience, setup to be able to see divinity and sacredness and to see God. Hmm? So that is the Kanishtha level. Then the Madhyamadhikari level, the Madhyamadhikari's vision is based on the scriptures. Ishvara tad adhineshu balisheshu dushyatsu cha prema maitri kripa upeksha yah karoti sa madhyama. That he knows there is divinity in everything and everyone. Hmm? Everyone, nothing in this world can be disconnected without, from the Lord. So everything draws its power and its existence from the Lord. So he has that conviction and faith. And at the same time, he knows that the manifestation of God is different at different levels. And he appropriately deals with different people based on the manifestation of God in them. Hmm? So, Prema Maitri Kripa Upeksha. So, Ishvara to the Supreme Lord, all he has is love. So, the emotion for the Lord he or she has is love for the Lord. Prema. Then, Adhineshu, those who are the devotees of the Lord, Maitri, one has friendship, feeling of friendship. Is it not? Hmm? We friendship means dadati pratigranati guhyam akhyati prachiti bhungte bhojate chaiva shadvida priti lakshanam. Friendship means there has to be, friendship means some of these six loving exchanges take place: giving gifts, receiving gifts, um, like honoring prasadam together, and exchanging and sharing confidential subjects, hmm, opening one's heart, sharing one's doubts and questions and reflections with each other. So that happens with devotees, not with outsiders. And Madhyamadhikari won't open up with outsiders who he knows haven't accepted the Supreme Lord as the goal of their life. So they are reserved with the outsiders, but they are very, very friendly with devotees. Yes, so that is Maitri. Then Kripa means that being merciful to those who are innocent, those conditioned living entities who just out of ignorance they are not surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So they are merciful. They share Krishna through Krishna Prasad, through Krishna Katha, through Krishna Nam, Krishna Seva. Some way or the other, they will try to touch the conditioned souls, the innocent people, with Krishna. And the fourth is um, Dvishatsu. Those who are envious of the Lord, उनके लिए है उपेक्षा. They stay away from them. Those who are avowedly inimical towards the Lord, so they will stay away from them. That is the reciprocal. These are the four dealings of the Madhyamadhikari, how they see different people and how they interact with the world around them. Yes? So they see sacredness all around, but their interaction with that sanctity is different. This based on the manifestation of God. then the Uttamadhikari, they have no reservations. They see God everywhere and in everything. Not just that, they see everyone as an Uttamadhikari. They consider themselves to be Adham, but out of their humility, but they see everyone is a pure devotee. So Nityanand Prabhu, you know, he basically has a super Uttamadhikari vision that he tells Lord Chaitanya, no, no, please don't. Like when Lord Chaitanya is so what do you say? So angry and upset with Jagai and Madhai, that time Nityanand Prabhu comes to protect them and he says that no, no, Jagai saved me. So you should give your mercy to him. So that is the vision of an Uttamadhikari. These are the three visions of a devotee, different levels of devotees. Then Srila Prabhupada in the four purports, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, he speaks about this Uttamadhikari vision can be misunderstood and misapplied, where artificially you try to fake being an Uttamadhikari, and this fake equal vision basically is basically the Sahajiya vision. The Sahajiya vision or the Mayavad vision. These are the like two fake Uttamadhikari vision. Who try to fake, who try to forcefully see everything with an equal vision, not realizing that this equal vision, this Uttamadhikari vision is based on the Daivim Prakriti, is based on the mercy potency of the Lord, based on the Kripa Shakti of the Lord, based on Srimati Radharani's compassionate energy that they are able to see with that kind of a vision. So they try to either through the Mayavad or through this Sahajiyaism, they try to forcefully see things based on equal vision, but these are not recommended. Okay, so now we will discuss in detail, but just I gave that breakup. Seventh verse we'll recite. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaeva bhut vijanatah तत्र कः मोहकः शोकः एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मेव भूतविजानतः तत्र कः मोहकः शोकः एकत्वम् अनुपश्यत. Someone will want to recite from the offline. यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मेवाभूद्विजानतः तत्र कः मोहकः शोकः एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः. Someone in online?
Prabhuji, can I recite?
Yes.
यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्म एव अबुधा विजानतः तत्र कः मोहकः शोक एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः.
Nice. Thank you. So let's see the meaning. Yasmin, which means one who, Anupashyata always sees what all living entities, Sarvani Bhutani, as spiritual sparks, Atma, in quality one with the Lord, Ekatvam, becomes a Bhut, a true knower of things. He becomes a true knower. Abhut vijanatah. So therefore there is no illusion. Kaha moha kaha shoka. There is no moha or shoka for such a person. So this is the meaning of this verse. So we saw that these two verses they speak about someone whose vision sees things based on the lens of their connection with the Supreme Lord. So the lens with which one is wearing is not aham mameti vision. The lens which we are currently wearing to see the world is the lens of aham mameti. That how does this relate to my ego, my sense of proprietorship, controllership, enjoyership? So with that lens, we are seeing the world. But here, what is mentioned is that if you see the world based on the lens of everything being a part and parcel and energy of the Supreme Lord, then you won't encounter these three emotions of first hatred, jugupsutam, second shoka, lamentation, and third is moha or illusion. Yes. So this is what we discussed. Manu always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, one in quality with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. And such a person cannot have any illusion or anxiety. So here Srila Prabhupada is speaking about the oneness. The oneness with the Supreme Lord is in the form of qualitative oneness. Hmm? So the Jiva and the Supreme Lord, there is qualitative oneness, which means in quality we are also Satchidananda and the Supreme Lord is also Satchidananda. But quantitatively, there is difference. Hmm? We are minuscule, we are infinitesimal, and he is infinite. Hmm? So we are qualitatively one with the Lord, and the problem is we are trying to enjoy in this material world, which is qualitatively different from us. So qualitatively we are one with the Lord, but we are trying to enjoy in this world, which is based on Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, which are qualitatively different from us. The material energy is qualitatively different from us. So we are qualitatively one with the Lord in the sense of Satchidananda. So the real joy can only come when the Jiva comes in touch with the Supreme Lord. But we are thinking that the joy will come, the pleasure will come when the Jiva is in touch with Prakriti. Hmm? So Lord says in the fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, यही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःख योनय एवते आदि अंतवंत कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा. That the samsparsha sukha, the sukha derived out of contact of senses with the sense object, is short lived and is a source of great suffering and misery. And those who are learned, those who have this vision, which is spoken of, they abstain from enjoying the material energy, deriving pleasure based on the contact of the senses with the sense objects. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about those who are after this pleasure hunt, basically create a godless civilization. And then Prabhupada says becoming one with the Lord is possible. Hmm? But in the way of being in the interest of the Lord. The interest of Krishna and our interest, when they match, that is the oneness that we are desiring. Hmm? And basically, this is seeing this whole world as a family of the Supreme Lord. Hmm? So when you have in a family, everyone's goal, everyone's purpose and interest is same because that family is knit together by a common father. So here is the Supreme Father, and this entire world is a family of the Supreme Father, Parabrahman. And then who surrenders to the Parabrahman? Um, मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिद् यतति सिद्धे यतताम् अपसिद्धानां कश्चित् मां वेति तत्त्वतः Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Not everyone is privileged or fortunate to surrender to the Lord. Only a devotee. Okay, so basically, I just um, briefed you through the whole verses and the purport. Now, let's try to understand the concepts which are mentioned in these two verses and how we can apply them. Hmm? Make sense? Let's try to dig deeper into these two verses. So, I call this the defective eyes due to the defective eyes. So, we have these defective eyes. These two verses are speaking about the right vision through which we can see the world. But this verse is also indicating about there are wrong visions because of which people undergo and experience hatred, lamentation, frustration, and illusion. Right? So, if you have the corrected understanding of who am I hmm, and who others are, then you have a corrected vision, 6 by 6 vision. But if we have defective understanding of who am I and who are others, then there is defective way of looking at people. So, what are the defective ways of looking at the world? Anything or anyone we look at in the world, we can have different types of vision, different types of eyes, defective eyes, an eye of infatuation. So, lust, जैसे इसमें बोला इस वर्स में मोह, that vision which is based on uh, selfish enjoyment. So the lustful eye, that lustful eye, which means I am this body and I am an enjoyer, then what results from it is a lustful eye. Lustful eye leads to lustful eyes. And then we look at the world from a vision of sense enjoyment. That how much pleasure will this object give me? Will that person give me? Will this thing give me? Hmm? So we have a scoreboard running in our mind. Whenever we see something, oh, this much pleasure can be derived from this. This much pleasure can be squeezed out of this. So this is a vision of infatuation, moha, right? Anything attractive, yadyad vibhuti mat sarvam shrimad urjitam evava tattadevavagachattam mama tejo amsha sambhavat. Whatever we see in this world, Krishna says in the 10th chapter of the Gita, is basically a spark of Krishna's splendor. Anything attractive that we are seeing in this world. hmm, When we see Krishna's connection, Srila Prabhupada saw, was on a morning walk and one of his disciples was along and the disciple was just happened to look across to a very beautiful girl who was passing by and his eyes were fixated on her and he was looking at her but Srila Prabhupada was looking at him and then he realized Prabhupada is looking at him. So then Srila Prabhupada, he understood and he said, she is beautiful, isn't she? He said, yes, Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, if the creation is so beautiful, how beautiful the creator would be. Hmm? So if we just see things based on the transaction of what pleasure I can derive based on my mind and senses, then that's an eye which will lead to infatuation. We'll get entangled, we'll get enamored by the things of this world and get entangled in sinful desires and activities, right? So that's the first way we can look at this world, infatuation. Second eye is an eye of insecurity. Neighbor's envy, owner's pride. Hmm? So when you start filtering the world based on what is the pleasure this thing has in store for me, when everything is driven by a selfish vision, And then you find that there are competitors to your enjoyment. So in everything, you find that there is competition in this world. You want to earn wealth, someone wants to earn more than you. Then there's love triangle, right? So everywhere there's competition. And because there's competition, there is insecurity. Because क्योंकि ईशावास्यम विजन में क्या है, I'll just take only what God has given for me. But इसमें क्या है, I want to take what he has or she has, right? So there is a sense of insecurity, is it not? And this is so unsettling that you start with that I can enjoy anything I want, but then as you just even before beginning the journey, you realize that there is competition everywhere. Life is a life of competitive exams. Every moment you have to compete with others. The rat race of material enjoyment. Yes. So there's a जैसे बोलते हैं ना evil eye. Huh? So then there's insecurity. You see someone having a better car, a better home, a, a a better husband or wife. Right? What happens is insecurity in the world. So this is exactly what is being said here in this verse. That because we are not seeing things in connection with Krishna. We are not seeing that everyone and everything is Krishna's property. And therefore there is infatuation, and when you see that the object is not available for me, then there is insecurity. Or the third plane is irritation. Haven't you felt irritated by some people? ये ऐसे क्यों है, वैसे क्यों है? Why do they act like this? Right? Why do they become impediment in my enjoyment? Right? Someone is a competitor, but then there are others who could be impediments. Right? So in general, the vision is of fault finding. That we see faults in our relatives, our friends, the devotees. We see the faults in the government, to the colleagues in the office, in everything except ourselves. Yes. So this leads to a lot of irritation and frustration because we are seeing faults everywhere all around, and you can't do anything about that. You can't mend anyone because everyone सब अपनी मर्जी के मालिक हैं, है कि नहीं? How many have tried to change someone else? वो बदले. So then the natural consequences to be irritated and frustrated, is it not? So what the Ishopanishad is saying, that if you want to save yourself from this infatuation, the cycle of infatuation, insecurity, and irritation, then you got to change your vision. Because this is causing you so much of anxiety, trouble, and struggle in this world. And if you look at the contrast in the Bhagavad Gita, the first verse is from Dhritarashtra, and the last one verse is Sanjay. What is the first verse?
धर्म क्षेत्रे
Dharma
कुरुक्षेत्र
Kshetre Kurukshetra
समवेता समवेता युयुत्सवा मामका
Mamaka Pandava Shaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjay. मेरे और उसके पुत्रों ने क्या किया? Basically divide into mine and them. This is called a separatist vision. Separate करना. ये मेरा है, ये पराया है. ये मेरे भोग के लिए है, ये दूसरा इसके ऊपर आक्रमण कर रहा है. Right? So when you make yourself the center, then you end up dividing the world. है कि नहीं? When we make ourselves the center of the world, then we divide the world, and it is called a separatist vision. Wherever we go, we will divide the world into friends and enemies. Because those who support me, my opinion, my plans, my enjoyment, they are friends for the time being, till the time they support me. Till the time they have facilities and they can provide me facilities for my enjoyment, they are friendly. But the moment they either become redundant or become obstacles in my enjoyment, they immediately are then categorized as enemies. So that's the separatist vision. Separatist vision is basically the vision of infatuation, insecurity, irritation. The last verse of the Bhagavad Gita is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanodhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Sanjay is saying, wherever there is Yogeshwara Shri Krishna, wherever there is Dhanodhari Arjun, there will always be supreme victory, morality, and all opulences. So, what is Dhritarashtra seeing? Me and them. Hmm? What is Sanjaya seeing? Bhakta and Bhagwan. Hmm? Lord and his devotees. So, the vision of Sanjaya, the devotee's vision, basically sees everything in connection with the Lord, and therefore it's a unifying vision. It sees that everything, Sutre Mani Gana Iva, everything and everyone in this world is connected to Krishna. It is a harmonizing vision. Whereas the vision based on I and mine is a separatist vision. It divides communities, it divides families, it divides people. Yes? And the vision of a devotee is basically unites everyone seeing the common thread. That just as a garland of different marigolds, roses, different types of flowers, lilies, etc., is united by a unseen thread. So a devotee sees that how each and every living entity in this world is having the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Yes. So the whole process of Bhagavad Gita is to take us from a separatist vision to the harmonist vision. है ना? सेपरेटिस्ट विजन जिसमें हम अपने अहंकार के लेंस से दुनिया को देखते हैं और एक हार्मोनिस्ट विजन जिससे हम भगवान के लेंस से दुनिया को देखते हैं. Yes, so that's what is the journey of Bhagavad Gita. The journey of Bhagavad Gita is to go to an ophthalmologist. क्या आप किसी चश्मे आंखों के डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो तो क्या होता है? वो आपसे पूछते हैं दिख रहा है एस डी है कि बी है, देन वो एक लेंस लगाते हैं, पूछते हैं अब हाँ ASD GHI आई है या L है, कंफ्यूज, देन वन मोर लेंस, like this one after another. When you are able to see properly 6x6 vision, आप फराटे से पढ़ सकते हो, then you are given 6x6 vision. So Bhagavad Gita means you have a 6x6 vision where you can see Jeev, Ishwar, Prakriti, Kala, Karma, Yoga, everything based on the philosophy of the Gita. Then that 6x6 vision is the harmonist vision where you can see everything in connection with Krishna. Right? And this is what the Ishopanishad is also offering us. That when you see everything in connection with the Lord, then you won't have those defective eye and defective eyes, right? Of infatuation, insecurity, and irritation. And one very hmm, kind of drastic example of this separatist vision and the harm that this separatist vision can do is the Daksha Sati episode. है ना? कि हमें लगता है कि चलो ये सेपरेटिस्ट विजन में प्रॉब्लम क्या है, मतलब ठीक है मेरे अपने हैं कुछ तो मतलब इट्स ये स्वाभाविक है, इट इज नेचुरल दैट मेरे कुछ अपने होंगे कुछ लोग पराये होंगे, मतलब इट्स जस्ट नेचुरल. आई कांट यू नो जस्ट encompass everyone in my life. तो कुछ लोग मेरे अपने कुछ पराये हैं, नेचुरल है. But then this separatist vision is not innocent. This actually becomes vicious. That you see in Daksha's episode. Daksha He's he has this favorite daughter, hmm, Sati. And she's like like his most dear doted daughter. Mm. And I think he has how many 16 wives and so many other children. But he has Haryashvas, Shavalasvas, and then 60 daughters. So he has a big family. But his most beloved daughter is basically Sati. So and Sati is married to Lord Shiva. And here in this assembly, and Daksha, his name is Daksha because he conducts a lot of fire sacrifices, yagyas. He's expert as conducting fire sacrifices. He's expert at expanding the progeny. He's expert at, basically creation. So he is, so to speak, the CEO of the universe. Daksha, CEO is supposed to be expert. He is the chief expertise officer. Hmm. His name is Daksha. So the Brahmaji has appointed him as the head of all the devatas. That on the behalf of all the devatas, he is the one who is going to perform all the yagyas and attract all prosperity in the universe. So he's performing a certain yagya, and in this yagya, all the devatas are sitting in the assembly, including Brahmaji and Lord Shiva. So when Daksha enters the assembly, so it is like a page three gathering. Hmm? Pura who's who of the city have so have gathered together. Who's who of the universe? All the devatas, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all of them have gathered. But when Daksha walks in, hmm, the chief guest walks last, mein, na? So when Daksha walks in, everyone rises, not just out of convention, but but because they was so um, like by his charisma, by his effulgence, they are completely mesmerized. So everyone rises just automatically, involuntarily. Everyone rises except two people, Brahma and Shiva. Now Brahma happens to be his father, so he can't expect Brahma ji to stand. और ब्रह्मा जी तो मतलब ही इज हम्बल तो बोलेंगे अगर तुम्हारी एक्सपेक्टेशन तो मैं खड़ा हो जाता but he allows him, okay, he can sit. But then there's one person who doesn't stand, whom he considers is actually his junior. He's his son-in-law, and not only his junior, he's actually not fit for a very refined assembly of uh, very learned scholars, brahmanas, and sages and devatas. He thinks this Shiva, Lord Shiva, who is my son-in-law, hmm, he has not risen in respect, in due respect to me. So what is he? An enemy. So what vision he has developed? Jugupsutam, Jugupsitam. He has developed an inimical vision, a vision of hatred, right? So just one person out of those hundreds of devatas, thousands of devatas doesn't rise up. मतलब ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं कि कुछ अपशब्द कहें, केवल वो अपने सीट पे खड़े नहीं हुए, और उसमें he has taken such an offense that he immediately starts a sermon, starts saying that I am speaking for the benefit of the civilized society, and we should condemn and uh, rusticate people like Lord Shiva from the civilized society. I somehow happened to marry my daughter to him on the advice of my you know father Brahmaji. Otherwise, he's not fit. My daughter is like doe-eyed. He has eye. She has eyes like a deer, and he has eyes like the monkey. So he starts doing, what is it called? Racial slur, as they say, ना? Racial कि ये इनका नाक नक्श ऐसा है, right? And he has ashes all over his body. And so he starts giving a hate speech. Starting from where? Because his vision is a separatist vision. He doesn't see that how everyone is connected to the Lord. Hmm? Whereas Lord Shiva, why he did not rise up? Because in his mind, while closing his eyes, he was meditating on the Supreme Lord. वो भगवान के ऊपर ध्यान लगा रहे थे, तो उन्हें पता भी नहीं था कि दक्ष आए हैं. Right? So he was completely in samadhi. And why do we give respect to others? Because everyone in everyone's heart, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu resides. So we are actually offering our respects to the Lord in the heart of that person. So not understanding this, Daksha is expecting that he should have stood up. He should have risen up in respect. But he's already giving respect to the Paramatma in the heart. But he can't understand all of that because he has a separatist vision. But what happens in due course of this whole pastime, that he um, not only, like, he curses Shiva, he curses Shiva, and then there's curse and counter curse by the followers, by Nandi. So आप सोचिए कि एक separatist vision appears to be, you know, just मैं स्वाभाविक है अपने पराये, right? But then where does it lead? The Kurukshetra war, the killing of crores of people, happens because of separatist vision of four people: Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, Shakuni, Karna, and Dushasan. Hmm? In चार पांच लोगों की separatist vision created havoc. And similarly, the leaders today in the world, their separatist vision is creating lot of wars, whether trade wars or, you know, armed wars, right? So this is what separatist vision, and to the extent that uh, Daksha, the daughter whom he considered कि ये तो मेरी अपनी है, he became so inimical even to her out of the separatist vision that he became the cause of her death. So don't think that this separatist vision is a natural thing ki, you just distinguish between people, but then it actually eventually, those even whom you are having so-called familial love, they'll become inimical in due course of time if we don't see the connection of the Lord based on the moha. So Daksha had moha for his daughter कि मेरी बेटी है, मेरी पुत्री है, मुझे बहुत प्रिय है. लेकिन that same daughter, because there was a challenge to his ego, a perceived threat to his ego, there was an insecurity, and she became a source of irritation for him. Yes. So this is the separatist vision. Yomam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanam ishwaram hirtva archam bhajate modhyad bhasmani eva juhoti sa. Kapil Dev is saying to Devahuti, Dushata parkaye ma manino bhinna darshina. Bhinna darshina means bhinna, separate. Darshina means vision. Separatist ये जो vision है, न माम शांति मृच्छति, न मनः शांति मृच्छति. ऐसी दृष्टि से आपको कभी शांति नहीं मिल सकती. कैसी दृष्टि? कि जिसमें आप आ, दूसरों से वैर रखते हो, दूसरों को आप भगवान से अलग करके देखते हो. अपने अहंकार के इसके ऊपर आप दुनिया को जब डिवाइड करते हो, so then it basically will never lead to satisfaction. That is what Lord is saying. So from defective, because of this defective I, understanding of who am I, based on this ego, we look at this world with defective eyes. But from defective eyes, we have to go to divine eyes. And how do we go? So we see the world based on infatuation, that what pleasure can this object give me, right? This person give me this, so then if we look at this world based on not bhoga bhav but seva bhav, hmm, that how much can I enjoy? If we turn that question upside down, how much can I serve? Right? How can I serve? How can I enjoy if it is translated to how can I serve? Then this infatuation vision can be translated into a vision of seva, right? Then an insecurity, the insecurity arises because we think that, okay, uh, hmm, this person is having so much wealth, resources, he or she is a competitor to me now. But when you have Shraddha, that the Supreme Lord is providing for everyone from an ant to an elephant, will he not provide for me? So when you have that kind of faith in the Lord, that he is providing for everyone, so he'll also provide for me. Hmm? So that faith, that Sharanagat Bhav, it actually evaporates all those insecurities and anxieties. You know that Krishna is going to provide for everyone, and everyone includes me. Yes. So you no longer have insecurity. And third is irritation. We feel irritated. ये ऐसा क्यों है वैसा. Even amongst devotee circle we feel this devotee has, बोलने का तरीका ठीक नहीं है. um, Whatever he or she is, is like this, like that. So when we have samvedana bhav or compassion, or mm, you know trying to help others with that mindset, when we see, then we will again, mm, when we see basically everything in connection with the Lord. From the infatuation vision is because I want to enjoy. Seva bhav is when we see that array, this person, everything is belongs to Krishna. So how I can serve Krishna through this person, through this object, right? Whatever you see, whoever you see, you think that how I can serve. Because that thought arises because you see the connection of Krishna. है ना? Similarly, insecurity क्यों होती है? क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि इसके पास इतना है तो मेरा competitor है. Right? This person got promotion, he's a competitor, she's a competitor. But when you see that Krishna is providing for him, Krishna will also provide for me. Again, you saw Krishna's, hand in everything. And third thing is irritation. You get irritated based on what others are doing and not doing. Uh, so here we can see that everyone is a work in progress. We think that we are VIPs, very important persons, but we are actually WIPs, work in progress persons. So we are all work in progress, and just like I have faults, others may also have faults. Just like others have faults, I also have many faults. So we are all work in progress. So then you are more tolerant of others' faults. And even when you look at faults in others, you understand it is not my responsibility. वो है ना, वो ठीक करेंगे, राइट? पूरी दुनिया को ठीक करने का ठेका हम लेके बैठे हैं क्या? We can't mend people. Krishna, in due course of time, he will give everyone the opportunity to be reformed, to be resurrected. But then I can't take the onus on my head, the burden on my head कि मैं सबको ठीक ठिकाने लाइन पे लाके रखूंगा. Then we'll remain frustrated, right? So you see that Krishna has a plan for everyone. Let me not take कानून को अपने हाथों में मत ले, right? So you will not have irritation, infatuation, or insecurity when you look at the world. You will have seva bhav, you will have shraddha or sharanagati bhav, and you will have samvedana bhav. When you see that others are also work in progress. So that is possible only when we see the common connection, Krishna connection. And Narad Muni, he gives very pertinent advice to Dhruv Maharaj, who is very much hurt because of the ill treatment by his by his stepmother. Hmm? She basically practically throws him off the lap of his father, hmm, and abuses her with harsh words that you don't have the right to sit on the throne. You are the son of a mistress. Hmm? तुम बहुत एक you know uh, you are low born in that sense. So he's hurt because of relationships. Hmm? Narad Muni gives him an advice of how you can be happy in this world in dealing with different relationships. So what is the advice he gives? Gunadhikan mudam lipsed anukroshat gunadhamad maitrim samanyam anviched na taper abhibhuyate. He says that there are three types of relationships in this world. People who are um, more prosperous than us, people who are more capable than us, people who are more advanced than us, people who are more um, empowered than us. In different ways, people who are superior to us. Hmm? Um, so, for such people, when we see someone who is superior to us, who is more advanced, more capable, more empowered than us, then what is the general tendency is to become envious, to become insecure. तुम्हारा insecurity camera on हो जाता है. We become insecure, and when we start seeing with evil eyes, इसका बुरा हो जाए. Hmm? So, so then Narad Muni says, Mudam lipset. Whenever you see someone superior to you, whenever you see someone more capable than you, then you should become happy. अरे ये कहाँ का लॉजिक है? How can I become happy seeing someone more prosperous and capable and advanced than me? So Narad Muni says this is a hidden opportunity for you. What is a hidden opportunity? To try to learn something from them, right? If someone who is more capable than us, if we are in the student mode, then we can, uh, learn something from them. But if we are in the mode of insecurity and jealousness, we are actually, um, you know, pushing them away from us. So we actually lose the opportunity to learn and grow when we become inimical and envious of people who are superior to us in different ways. Make sense? जो हमसे प्रगत हैं किसी भी क्षेत्र में, उनको देख के rather than becoming envious, we should become happy. Second is anukroshat gunadhamat. Someone who is less than us, who is inferior than us, what happens? What is the natural tendency? Try to exploit them, try to control them, try to subdue them, hmm, to show our power in front of people who are weaker than us. Nadmi says, no, don't do that. What instead we should be doing? Anukrosha, help them. Hmm? Help them grow, help them um, learn. Anukrosha, have compassion upon them. Give them a helping hand, right? So that will do good to you, and that will do good to them also. And then Maitrim Samanam Anvichain. Those who are your equals, you should have friendships with those who are equals, right? Generally, we get irritated with those who are equals. But Narmani is saying no, you should have friendship. You should cooperate with those who are equals. So those who are superior to us, we have an insecure vision. Narmani says no. Develop a vision of happiness and learn from them. Those who are inferior to us, we try to exploit and control them. That kind of an infatuation vision, we try to control and exploit, but instead have a compassionate vision. And those who are equal to us, we become irritated. So instead of becoming irritated, we cooperate with them, develop friendships with them. And then na taper abhibhuyate, you will not have any miseries in this world. Yes. Okay, so these are the verses which in the purport, the Uttamadhikari, the Madhyamadhikari, and the Kanishtadhikari visions are mentioned, which we spoke about. So this is the Kanishtadhikari vision verse. All these come in the 11th canto in the Uddhav Gita. अर्चायाम एव हरे पूजम यह श्रद्धया एहते न तद भक्तेषु चान्येषु स भक्ता प्राकृतः स्मृत. जो भगवान के विग्रह को तो पूजा करता है, because what I said, they have limited capability to see sanctity and sacredness and divinity. They need a certain construct, a certain arrangement to be able to see divinity. तो ये भगवान के मंदिर में divinity देख सकते हैं, but moving out of the temple they can't see divinity. They see, उनका separatist camera on हो जाता है. When they are in the temple, when they see Krishna, oh, nice. But then anyone else, they have that I and mine conception still lingering. Then, as I discussed, ईश्वर तद अधीनेषु बालिशेषु दुषत्सु च प्रेम मैत्री कृपा उपेक्षा यह करोति स मध्यमा. A Madhyamadhikari, he sees divinity everywhere, but reciprocates with that divinity based on the level of manifestation of the Lord. And सर्व भूतेषु यह पश्चेत भगवत भावम आत्मनः भूतानि भगवती आत्मनि एष भागवत उत्तमः. The most advanced devotee, that he sees the Lord everywhere, and he sees everyone in relationship to the Lord, and understand that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. So सावर जंगम न देखी न देखी तार मूर्ति सर्वत्र है तार इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. So anything that one sees, one is reminded of the Lord. That's the Uttamadhikari vision. So practically, the Kanishtadhikari, he sees duality. All the Kanishtadhikari can see is dualities. ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है, ये मित्र है, शत्रु है, ये pleasure है, ये pain है. So Kanishtadhikari sees more of dualities with a glimmer of divinity. So there are two things, duality and divinity. So the Kanishtadhikari, he sees dualities with a glimmer of divinities. जहां पे उसको एक फेस्टिवल, कोई टेम्पल में बड़ा आयोजन, वहां पे उसको डिविनिटी दिख जाएगा. A Madhyamadhikari, he sees, he recognizes duality, but in the background he sees divinity. So in the forefront he sees, he differentiates that there's duality, but in the background he knows ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम तो सबका विंडोज सेम है. बाहर वॉलपेपर अलग लगाया है, बट ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम सेम है. राइट, सी इज द सेम operating system, which is the same supreme lord operating everything. Yes, so foreground में duality, background में divinity. उत्तम अधिकारी का क्या होता है, उसको foreground में divinity and background में duality. Duality goes so much in the background that they sometimes even don't realize. Lord Chaitanya, he sees the sand dune and he sees that this is Govardhan पर्वत. चातक पर्वत, जो चातक सैंड ड्यून है, उसको देख के गोवर्धन पर्वत है. समुद्र को देख के ये यमुना है. Right, so that kind of a vision, basically your divinity is so much in the foreground that the boundaries of dualities, they kind of go back in the background for you. Everything reminds you of Krishna, and you see Krishna manifesting through everything in everyone. Right, so therefore Nityanand Prabhu, he goes even to drunkards, he goes even to a crocodile to preach, because उनको वो duality दिखती नहीं है. For him it is just a spirit soul. This body of the crocodile is just something in the background, ultimately the spirit soul. So much of Krishna consciousness is there. Right, so our goal is to come from where we see duality only as a materialist, to come to a Kanishtadhikari where we see at least some divinity in between the jungle of duality. Then to Madhyamadhikari where we see the dualities in the foreground. We can't escape that, but we see the common operating system of the divinity, which is operating everything. And then finally, we have to come to the state of Uttamadhikari, where we everything reminds us of Krishna, and we see that divinity in foreground and the dualities, and they just become obscure in the background. They don't matter too much, so much to us. Yes. So that's how is the progression of vision. But on an artificial level, we can't create that equality. We can't artificially jump to an उत्तम अधिकारी vision, क्योंकि उसके लिए वो पूरा लेंस, वो डॉक्टर के पास में, ऑप्थेल्मोलॉजिस्ट के पास में हमें बैठना पड़ेगा. Artificially we can't say नहीं नहीं now I can see everything. Then what we see is all black and white ink. We can't see the with clarity, right? So artificially this जैसे देखिए all men are created equals, but only the finest can play tennis. So that ego will always be there. Even if you artificially try to superimpose equality, it is not possible. So what we must have is a Madhyamadhikari vision. We should aspire to have a Madhyamadhikari vision to be able to see the duality, recognize the duality, relate to the duality based on the divinity in the background. Recognize the duality, but relate to it based on the divinity. Otherwise, all men are created equal, but the finest become chemical engineer. That ego will still be there. Communism wants to create all equality, right? There have been so many isms which have tried to create equality, but this is just a false and farcical propaganda. एक कम्युनिस्ट country में एक someone is the journalist is giving on live air that how there is the notion of brotherhood and equality is so ingrained. Everyone here in our communist country is equal. So he goes on camera to a farmer and he said, so do you believe in communism, Marxism? Yes, we are all communists, Marxists. We believe in all equality. Good, good. See, and he says, so my dear farmer, so if you had, four horses and your neighbor doesn't have any horse, would you give two horses to him? Yes, yes, of course, two horses for me, two horses for him. Of course, equality. He says, okay, so if you had four cows and your neighbor didn't have any, would you mind giving two to him? Yes, yes, two for him, two for me. Not a problem. If you had four sheep and your neighbor hadn't any, would you mind giving two to him? No, not at all. No, no, I am repeating. If you had four sheep, would you mind giving two to him? You already given him two horses and two cows. No, I will not give. Why? Because I have four sheep. I don't have cows and horses. So hypothetically, people may say equality, but that equality doesn't work because we can't bring equality on the material platform. Equality is there on the spiritual platform. So let that equality be there on the spiritual platform. Material equality is basically a utopian concept. It doesn't exist. It's basically Amiraj, artificially trying to squeeze that out is just an eyewash. Hmm? So if you say ki in a class you have everyone is asked to study, but no one will be given their own marks. Hmm? The class will be given average marks. Hmm? कि जितने 50 स्टूडेंट्स हैं 50 स्टूडेंट्स के मार्क्स का एवरेज निकालेंगे, that will be revealed as the class marks, right? So if you see year on year, the class average will go up or down? It will go down. क्योंकि वो कहानी है ना कि एक राजा ने घोषित किया कि सब हमारे नागरिक आके इस कुएं में ये यज्ञ के लिए दूध अर्पण कीजिए. तो फिर मतलब लेकिन अंधेरी रात में करेंगे और आपको किसी को दिखाना नहीं है, आप अपनी तरफ से जितना डालना है कोई पूछेगा नहीं, उतना डाल दो. सो देन व्हाट हैपेंड? People thought that there's no accountability, no one is watching. So what? People thought that बाकी सब तो दूध लेके जाएंगे, मैं पानी डाल दूंगा तो क्या होगा. So everyone put water. अमावस की रात में सबने पानी डाल दिया. अगले दिन सुबह आके देखा तो केवल पानी ही था, दूध था ही नहीं. There was no milk because everyone has been given equal. So depending on the level of consciousness, depending on the level of the varnashram, there is different roles and responsibilities for everyone, which are needed. We can't artificially put everyone in the same, kind of a silo. जैसा आज का, like today's world is so hypocritical. People say that be yourself, be yourself. You must have your own voice. Be yourself. Hmm? But then if you try to be yourself, they say, no, 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 not like this. So the way society wants you to be. So ultimately, that being yourself means you have to be true to your true nature. So though artificially we cannot create this. So therefore, you see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given different levels of Maryada. Equal vision is there, seeing the divinity in the background, the operating system of divinity in the background, but seeing that duality operate in the foreground. So एक शेर भी है, शेर को भी आप रेस्पेक्ट कर रहे हो, और एक ब्राह्मण को भी आप रेस्पेक्ट कर रहे हो. ठीक है, उस ब्राह्मण को आप जाके गले लगाओगे, लेकिन शेर को जाके गले नहीं लगाओगे. राइट, यू ऑल्सो रेस्पेक्ट, बट रेस्पेक्ट फ्रॉम अ डिस्टेंस. Artificially you can't create that equality. Yes, है ना. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives this levels of gradations of respect, gradations of dealings. So he says first is Nara Maryada. Humans have to be given, human life has to be given more respect than other forms of life. Human life is more precious than other forms of life. है ना, है कि नहीं? Do we all agree? सब में spirit soul है. The spirit soul is there equally in all species. In a cat, in a rat, in a dog, in a monkey, in an insect. But still human life is much, much more precious than any other form of life. Because human life gives the opportunity for spiritual realization like no other species. Yes? So he says that you see the spirit soul, but the manifestation of the Nara in the human form of life is most um, to be respected and cared for. Then Sabhyata Maryada means out of the humans also there are civilized humans and the uncivilized humans. So those who are civilized, which means those who have accepted some moral codes of conduct. The human society, a civilized society, accepts some civic sense, civic code of conduct, accepts to be governed by a set of rules. So a civilized human is more valuable, meritorious than an uncivilized human. Yes, because he or she has more opportunity to be trained for spiritual life. है कि नहीं? है ना? Then there is Raj Maryada. So amongst the civilized people also, the one who creates the code of conduct, the administrator, the king, the governor, the government, they have got more power than ordinary citizens, civilians. है ना. तो नॉर्मल एनिमल्स से ह्यूमंस का ज्यादा रिस्पेक्ट है, उनका ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस है. देन उससे ज्यादा जो सिविलाइज्ड ह्यूमंस है, सिविलाइज्ड ह्यूमन जो सिविलियंस है उनसे ज्यादा किनका वेटेज है? दोज हु आर हैविंग द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पावर, दोज हु आर हैविंग राज मर्यादा. राज मतलब शासन की शक्ति है जिसके पास. Naturally, because if you have a favorable kind of administrator or a leader of the society, then everyone will progress in the spiritual life. Then उससे भी ज्यादा क्या है, विद्या मर्यादा. Vidya Maryada means in previous times every king would have a advisor. Chandragupta had Chanakya. Dashrath Maharaj had Vasishtha. And so the Pandavas, they had Dhaumya Rishi, right? So more than Raj Maryada is Vidya Maryada, because that Vidya, that knowledge governs and directs the kingdom and the king in the right direction. And more weightage than Vidya Maryada is Sadgun Maryada, because Vidya Vinayena Shobhate. The ornament to Vidya is Vinay or humility or good qualities. है ना? Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Someone who has actually gained knowledge, the proof for that is development of good qualities. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Shanti, Rajavam, अहिंसा शांति मार्जवम आचार्य उपासनम चैव शौचम आत्म विनिग्रहम इंद्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम अनहंकृत एव च. So he says that एतद् ज्ञानम इति प्रोक्तम अज्ञानम यत अतो अन्यथा. Krishna says, if you were to ask me of for the NIRF rankings, जो कंट्री में देते हैं ना, कौन से कॉलेज को, यूनिवर्सिटी को कितना रैंकिंग मिला है, सो कृष्णा सेज आई वुड नॉट रैंक बेस्ड ऑन बिल्डिंग्स एंड एमिनिटीज एंड फैसिलिटीज एंड कैंटीन एंड फलाना एंड ढिमकाना. आई विल रैंक बेस्ड ऑन अमानित्वम. Have the students developed humility and pridelessness? Ahimsa, have they developed non-violence and compassion? Shantir, have they developed forgiveness? So Krishna says, Etad Jnanam. If you ask me what is knowledge, knowledge is Sadgun, good qualities. So higher than Vidya is simple plain Vidya is Vidya which has led to Sadgun. And higher than that is Varna Maryada. In the sense that सदगुण के अगर आपके पास दो लोग हैं, have the same sadgun, then you will kind of give weightage to someone who is in a brahmanical or a kshatriya position, occupation in the society, right? Ultimately, all the human society is meant to develop the civilization through a leader, good governance, but that good governance has to be led by knowledge, and that knowledge should lead to good qualities. But within the good qualities also, we have the brahmanical qualities, they are higher. Kshatriya also has good qualities, but the Brahmana has more good qualities in the mode of goodness, right? Then higher than that is Ashram Maryada. Ashram Maryada means a sannyasi actually guides people in Apara Vidya, right? Amongst the Brahman, within Brahmanas also, a Brahmana who is a sannyasi is more respectful, is more respectable than a Brahmana who is a householder, because a sannyasi's only role is to teach about the Supreme Lord, about the absolute truth, right? But the highest Maryada is the Bhakti Maryada, because everything else is Shunya. Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virehena. So the highest Maryada is the Bhakti Maryada. So all of this, the Madhyamadikari recognizes this differentiations, but ultimately sees that the operating system is the Supreme Lord. The goal of all of this differentiation is to bring everyone in a concerted way to the Supreme Lord, to the Bhakti path. So this is the understanding, that a mature understanding that we get through this two verses. So eighth verse, क्योंकि ये sequence में है, मैं just we can have more discussion next time, but I'll just give you the brief of the 8th verse so that the section is complete in the sense that we have seen everything. So this verse is difficult to recite. Saparyaga Chukramakayam. Maybe I'm not getting Saparyaga Chukramakayam Avranam Ashna Viram Shuddham Apapa Viddham Kavir Manishi Paribhu Swayambhu Yatha Thayothan Vyadadha Shashvatibhya Samabhya Saparyaga Chukramakayam Avranam Ashnaviram Shuddhamapapaviddham Kavir Manishi Paribhu Swayambhu Yatha Thayorthan Vyadadhat Shashvatibhya Samabhya. So, this person, so now again closing the loop back. The first two verses about that Supreme Lord and his paradoxical qualities. And when you see the world based on these on the Supreme Lord with this harmonist vision, not a separatist vision, then you don't have illusion, lamentation, or hatred. So now again, the qualities of that Supreme Lord have been highlighted. So वो कौन है, उनके बारे में और जानना है, और जिज्ञासा है, तो that person you must know in fact is Shukram. Shukram means most powerful. He is the Lord of all potency. Akayam, he has all the power. He is supreme powerful, but he doesn't have the he's unembodied. What does that mean? He doesn't have a material body. Kaya means this body made up of matter. He doesn't have a kaya made up of matter. Avrinam means without reproach, who cannot be defeated. Ashnaviram means without veins. His body doesn't have veins which can be cut. Shuddham, antiseptic. Srila Prabhupada gives a medical translation. Shuddham means supremely pure. और सुप्रीमली प्योर इतना प्योर है कि आप उनसे संपर्क में आ जाएंगे तो आपको मटेरियलिज्म का जो सेप्सिस है, इन्फेक्शन है, वो नहीं होगा. अपाप विद्धम मीन्स प्रोफाइलैक्टिक. एंटीसेप्टिक इज क्यूरेटिव, प्रोफाइलैक्टिव इज प्रिवेंटिव. Prophylactic medicine means preventive medicine. So the Supreme Lord is apap viddham. पाप को आपके पास आने भी नहीं देंगे. जो पाप है वो भी भस्म हो जाएगा, दैट इज एंटीसेप्टिक. और जो पाप आपके पास आना भी चाहेगा उसको बाहर से ही भगा देंगे, दैट इज प्रोफाइलैक्टिक. कवि, ही इज सुप्रीमली इंटेलिजेंट, ओमनिसिएंट. शुक्रम, ओमनिपोटेंट. कवि, ओमनिसिएंट. मनीषी, ही इज द ग्रेटेस्ट फिलोसफर. परिभू, the greatest of all. Swayambhu, self-sufficient. यथार्थ है आप जस्ट इन परसुएंस. हाँ, तो यहाँ पे ये सब तो भगवान की क्वालिटीज दी, बट ये हमारे से कैसे रिलेट करते हैं? अर्थान डिजायरेबल्स व्यदधात, कि हमें जो कुछ भी आवश्यकता होती है वो यही सप्लाई करते हैं. कहाँ से कनेक्ट किया आपको वापस? ईशावास्यम इदम सर्वम यत् किंचन जगत्याम जगत तेन त्यक्तेन, है ना. अगेन वापस कनेक्ट उसी से किया कि ये जो भगवान है यही आपको सब कुछ, आपकी सब इच्छाएं पूर्ण यही कर रहे हैं, राइट. शाश्वतीभ्य, फ्रॉम टाइम इमेमोरेबल, समाभ्य, फ्रॉम टाइम इमेमोरियल, ही इज द वन हु इज सप्लाइंग एवरीथिंग टू एवरीवन. So this is the verse. Such a person must actually know Paryagat. So you should know whom? The greatest of all, Shukram, the most powerful personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, Akayam, omniscient, Kavi, beyond reproach, Avranam, without veins, Ashnaviram, pure, Shuddham, uncontaminated, Papavidham, self-sufficient, uh, Swayambhu, Manishi, philosopher, and with all of these qualities, he has been fulfilling. What is most important to us is he has been fulfilling all our needs. Arthan. So ये हमने डिस्कस किया है. So for this verse, it is very important to understand the difference between his body and our body. तो देखिए, 6th and 7th verse में in the 4th and 5th verse an indication was given that his form is not an ordinary form. जो पैराडॉक्सेस बताया कि वो अंदर भी हैं बाहर भी हैं, वो सबसे दूर हैं सबसे पास भी हैं, वो एक जगह स्थित हैं लेकिन वो सबसे तेज दौड़ रहे हैं. तो वो सब पैराडॉक्सिकल एग्जांपल्स बता के the indication was given that he is not constrained within our constraints. So but now the form of that Lord will be revealed in more proximity. थोड़ा सा और here you see the Lord has been revealed with a little more details. So some of the things mentioned here are Ashnaviram, without veins, and Akayam, unembodied. So क्या इससे हम ये अर्थ लगाएं कि भगवान का कोई देह नहीं है, भगवान का कोई रूप नहीं है? समन कैन से ना, अकायम मतलब जिनकी कोई कोई रूप नहीं है, जिनकी कोई काया नहीं है, कोई शरीर नहीं है, तो भगवान का कोई रूप नहीं है, इसका मतलब भगवान क्या है, होने चाहिए निर्विशेष. क्या ये अर्थ लगा सकते हैं हम? क्योंकि इसमें और भी बोला है अश्नाविरम, उनके कोई वेन्स नहीं है, right? So which means that okay, it doesn't look like he has a body. But then again, you have to go back. The Ishopanishad and the Vedic scriptures, they are trying to destroy all of these conceptions that we may have. So Krishna says to Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita that bahune me vyatitani jarmani tavacha arjuna tani ham veda sarvani na tvam veda parantapa. He says that you and I both have appeared many times. You don't remember, but I remember. You don't remember because you have changed many bodies. And when we leave one body, पूरा उसका जो memory है वो चला जाता है. And then we take a new body and new memories are formed. But Krishna, Lord Krishna has a same body because his body and soul are not different. Right now our soul is residing in a body and just using a body. मतलब बेसिकली एक्सटर्नल हार्ड डिस्क के ऊपर हम काम चला रहे हैं, हमारा इंटरनल हार्ड डिस्क नहीं है. सो as with the body, hard disk keep changing and we keep forgetting. So Krishna says, but I am from one life to another, you have changed bodies, but my body remains the same, which means his body is not like our body made up of the panchadhatu. Our body, because it is made up of panchadhatu, it has rakta, mas, majja, all of these skin, flesh, blood, bones, and bone marrow, etc. But his body is not made up of all of that. And he says, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam avasthabya sambhavami atma maya. So I appear by my own internal energy, atma maya. So we appear based on mahamaya. Our form is made up of, our body is made up of mahamaya. है ना? Mahamaya has all of these: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. Krishna says, Bhumi Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revacha, Ahankar, इत्यादि में भिन्ना प्रकृति अष्टधा. तो हमारा जो देह बनता है वो किससे बनता है? भिन्ना प्रकृति, महामाया शक्ति से. भगवान के आते हैं तो वो आत्म माया के माध्यम से प्रकट होते हैं. Which means his body is basically, his form is not made up of the Mahamaya. It's a form manifested, self-manifested form of the Atma Maya, his internal potency, his pleasure potency. So we think that form will limit the Lord, but actually material body limits, form doesn't limit. The Lord's form actually, he shows to Yashoda Mai Within that small mouth, he showed actually the entire universe, and within the entire universe, he's showing Bharat Bhumi, Mathura Mandal, and Gokul, and in that Yashoda looking in Krishna's mouth, and again the entire universe. So the form of the Lord is unlimited, because the Damodar Leela, his his form, although appears to be finite, but actually is the source of all infinity. She's trying to bind Krishna with infinite number of ropes and unable to bind. Right? So the form of the Lord is the source of all infinity, but the form of this world, because of it is made up of Mahamaya, is therefore finite and limiting. But the form of the Lord is infinite and the source of all infinity. That's 5 minutes. So yeah, this the last thing, people say that the Lord orchestrated this Leela of Prabhas Kshetra, that he went back to the Golok, the spiritual world, by this Leela where this hunter, he shot an arrow at the Lord's lotus foot. So actually, the commentaries, Acharyas give this commentary, this was just a Leela orchestrated by the Lord to show, to fool those people who are having those preconceived notions, जो भगवान के सच्चिदानंद विग्रह को एक्सेप्ट करने के योग्य नहीं है, तो उनको मूर्ख बनाने के लिए, और so that their conception can continue. So Lord just created this kind of a leela. Otherwise, this hunter who shot this arrow, Lord sent him to the spiritual world. So the one who is actually sending this hunter to the spiritual world, will he die? Right? And there are so many things we will discuss in the next classes. But this verse especially says that we have to understand Him, who is satisfying all our needs, who is giving all our facilities and uh, all the necessities. Right? So the first verse से अभी इस 8th verse में वो connect किया है. First verse में He is providing for everything. You just take your quota, and in this verse, that you should understand Him nicely and fully. Right? Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we will continue the discussion. There might be questions. So next week we will begin with the questions for this session. Okay. Hare Krishna. You can note down your question if there's any. Shri Ishopanishad ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.